We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back now. Let's move closer to a new history, find out what we can be.
Anyway, hi guys. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. I know I didn't have 2 videos last week because of the California trip and there wasn't any cooking. And this week, I didn't get home until Wednesday. And so obviously I didn't have grocery shopping done and I didn't have all that. So I had a bunch of leftovers in the fridge that I kind of worked my way through. And I didn't want to leave you with only one video again this week. So I decided to sit down and do just kind of like a Q&A with you. I'm part of several, all right, there's like a hair in my, there we go. Nope, still there, whatever. Oh my God, it's still there. Go away. Anyway, I'm part of several support groups for Wegovy, and after having been in them for, over 4 months now, close to 5 months, I've noticed a lot of like repeat questions, like people asking the same questions over and over and over again. So, and if you're a part of any of those support groups, you'll know you get an overwhelming response sometimes with a bunch of people saying a bunch of different things. You really don't know them from Adam. You have no idea what their experience has been unless they provide you some kind of a background on that. And most of the time they don't. They just sling some advice at you and you have no idea where it's coming from. So I just thought, since you and I have been on this journey together now for almost 5 months, that I would give you some answers to these questions and you would have some context as far as where they're coming from. So if you have any more questions, if you enjoy this kind of a thing and you'd like to see me do it more often, definitely let me know down in the comments. Give this video a like. It really helps with the algorithm. But I mean, obviously if you guys enjoy these, then I'll be happy to do some more of them. But anyway, let's get into it. Hydrate, purifies the soul. That's what my friend Kim says. Stop it. Leave it. Helios. I have a very large, no. I have a very large puppy who enjoys getting into everything, and he really loves it when I'm down in his level, so we may see him in the frame at some point. So that kind of leads me into one of the first questions that I see all the time, which is, how do you get to 90 ounces of water? Like, how do you drink 90 ounces or more of water? Or how are you drinking enough water throughout the day? And I've talked about this before. I will link it down in the description, but I'll put a picture here of my water bottle. So you guys see me all the time drinking out of this. This is my insulated cup. I like to drink out of a straw. I don't know why. It makes it easier. But I also like my water to be ice cold. So what I do is I have this water bottle that I fill up every night and I put it in the fridge so that the water is super cold. And I keep that in the fridge throughout the day and I just continuously fill up my insulated cup. It holds, 90 ounces, but you can overfill it up to probably about 110 ounces. It has these timestamps on it that, it's like starts at 8 a.m. and then 10 and 12 and like every 2 hours. And it just kind of keeps me like on track in terms of knowing how much water I've consumed throughout the day. If I try to just fill up my insulated cup and try to extrapolate like how much water I've had to drink, especially because I put so much ice in my water, it's hard for me to track exactly how much I'm drinking if I'm just trying to put it in that one cup. So if I'm filling it from the container that has the proper amount of water in it, and it has those timestamps in it, it just kind of keeps me on track throughout the day to make sure I'm not just trying to pound a bunch of water before I go to bed, and then I'm up a million times in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. Also, your body can only absorb so much water at a time. So just sitting there and just like guzzling tons and tons of water at once really isn't going to do anything. Like, you're just going to pee most of that out. So this drug does make you thirsty. It can give you dry mouth. I had that in the early parts of me taking the drug. I don't really notice it so much now. But that kind of leads me into another question that you see all the time. And if you're a part of any of these groups, you will see a ton of people talking about poop. So what's the deal with poop? What's the deal with constipation? So some people do have diarrhea on this drug, but the majority of people, if the comments are to be believed, experience constipation on this drug. I would say probably the leading cause of constipation, whether you're on this drug or not, is not consuming enough water. Make sure you are drinking enough water. Drink, 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 drink. That also has a huge impact on the amount of weight loss that you have as well. There was somebody mentioned in the comments in one of the groups that I was in about a study that was done about how we actually metabolize fat and how we get rid of fat, because for a long time we didn't know what happened. People thought we pooped it out. We do urinate out. Like some of the fat that we lose is metabolized through our kidneys and processed out through our urine. But the majority of the fat that we lose is actually converted into carbon dioxide, and we exhale it. So we literally breathe out fat, which I thought was really interesting. But of course your body needs to be hydrated in order to, you know, go through all of these processes. So make sure you drink enough water. That's my number one. That is the number one thing that affects whether or not I lose weight, is how much water I'm drinking. So constipation. I have definitely struggled with constipation. If you watched any of my earlier videos, you will know that that is something that I have struggled with. Even though I drink enough water, I didn't have it as bad as some of these people. Like some people are like, I haven't gone in 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, that's too long, friend. Like you shouldn't let it get that far. But, I would go, you know, 2 or 3 days, 4 days sometimes. And basically I got to the point where I tried Miralax, and I only did it once because I was like, I read the label and it specifically says, do not take it every day. Even though I'm seeing people saying that they're taking Miralax every single day. Taking a laxative every day is not good for you. Back in the 80s, a lot of people use that as a way to lose weight. It's basically just dehydrating your body. It's a horrible thing to do. Laxatives should be used as a last resort, not a daily coping mechanism. So what I started doing was I started taking Solar Magnesium Glycinate. I'll put it here, and I'll also post a link down in the description. I started taking 4 of them every night, you know, about a couple of hours before I went to bed. Magnesium is intended to be a daily supplement. It's something that's meant for you to take every day. Magnesium has a whole host of health benefits. Taking it before you go to bed, it actually helps your body relax and go to sleep. It helps your mind relax. So I sleep better when I take it. And then when I wake up the next day, not immediately, but I will have a bowel movement at some point during the day. I notice that if I miss a dose of my magnesium, I'm probably not going to go to the bathroom the next day. So it definitely does help with keeping my body regular. You'll see a lot of people that will also they'll recommend Mag 7. So magnesium in general is good for that. But I know magnesium glycinate specifically has a high absorption rate, and it definitely like gets into your bloodstream and does the things that it's supposed to do. So that's what I recommend if you're having issues with that, if you're really struggling. If it's been a week, if it's been 5 days, you're probably going to need to go and buy some magnesium citrate and cancel your plans for the next couple of days. Do not do that and think that you're going to be okay in a couple of hours. I've had to do it before because I've had an impacted bowel, and it's horrible. It is an awful experience. It feels like your soul is leaving your body, but it will get you unstopped. Once you've been unstopped, that's when you can start taking something like magnesium glycinate to keep you regular. I know a lot of people recommend other things, Smooth Move Tea, those Poop Like a Champion gummies. I've never taken any of those because I've never needed to. The magnesium glycinate is something that I take, and it works, and I don't have to worry about it. So now that we've gotten the poop out of the way, other questions I've seen. When should I take the shot? I am one of those people, I start my week on a Monday, I end it on a Sunday. And so I always take my shot first thing in the morning on Monday. I take it before I eat breakfast. There have been a couple of times where I've forgotten just because the day has gotten away from me, but I always take it on Monday morning. I have been one of the people that's been lucky enough to not experience really major side effects. So I know that there are people that take it at night before they go to bed, or they take it like on a Friday because they notice the most appetite suppression on a Friday, or like immediately after they take it, and it starts to let up towards the end of the week. I did notice that in the early doses, but now that I'm later on, it lasts the whole week. So if you're one of those people that's like, I want to make sure that I'm not eating a lot on the weekend, well, then take it on a Friday. It really doesn't matter when you take the shot, as long as you're taking it every week. Like I said, I do it every Monday morning because that's what my kind of cycle is. Like that's what my weekly schedule looks like, and that's what works the best for me. Do what works for you. There isn't a specific day or time that you need to inject it. The other thing that I see a lot is, where should I inject the shot? There are 3 different recommended injection points: the upper arm, your stomach, and your upper thigh. So I always do to my arm. You guys see me do my injection every week. I've always done it in my arm for a couple of reasons. They want you to do it in an area that is free from any stretch marks or scars. And my stomach and my upper thighs are full of stretch marks. You also need to be able to keep the area very taut. And I have tons of fat in my middle section and on my upper thighs. I don't even want to know what kind of position I would have to contort myself in order to get taut skin on my stomach or on my thigh. With my upper arm, I mean, the skin is already taut there. I could just push it in. So I have seen people say that like you're more likely to experience side effects if you inject in your stomach because it's closer to your stomach and it absorbs faster. And I don't really know that there's anything to that. I think if you're a person that's going to get the side effects, you're a person that's going to get the side effects. If you're not, you're not. I think it's just kind of a crapshoot, for lack of a better phrase. But hi, baby. Oh yeah, you're gonna come up and say hi. Hello. Yes, good boy. Okay, so anyway, I totally forgot where I was. I will just say that, like, I've heard a lot of horror stories about people wasting doses because they don't actually get the needle to penetrate their stomach. I've never had that issue in my arm. So if you haven't decided where you want to inject yet, I highly recommend the arm, but that is literally the only experience that I have to give you. So the other question that I see a lot is how fast does it kick in? And I really think that that is based on the individual person. I noticed a difference from the first day of my very first shot. Now, not so much not so much to the degree that I have it now, but I did notice small differences like from day one in terms of how much I thought about food. I believe that it was by that Friday. So I started, again, I do my shot on Monday. And that Friday night we went out to eat for the first time because I don't eat out during the week in general. We went out to eat for the first time and we went to one of those teppanyaki places and I ordered the steak teppanyaki that comes with, like, you get the shrimp appetizer and the steak with the vegetables and the fried rice and all that. You know how it goes. Anyway, and I got the salad and my husband gave me his salad because he refuses to eat vegetables. He doesn't like green food. And so I ate his salad and I ate my soup. And then once our food came, like, I didn't even eat probably a third of my plate of food, even though calorie wise, I had plenty of calories to eat the whole thing. That was the first time that I noticed myself just like, oh, wow, I'm full. And I don't know if you can identify with this, but I've never really been a person in my life before. Like, I have eaten very large quantities of food. I'm someone that I probably have binge eating disorder. I mean, I've never been diagnosed or anything, but when I listen to people who have been diagnosed with binge eating disorders, I identify with a lot of the things that they say. So I have eaten extremely large quantities of food and never really felt hungry. I've never really felt full. So it was a completely alien experience to me to know what it felt like to be full after eating a reasonable amount of food. And not only that, but like, because I didn't necessarily recognize it and because I knew I still had so many more calories that I could eat, I kept eating another, probably 4 or 5 bites after that initial, oh, I've probably had enough feeling. And I was so uncomfortable. One of the things that Wegovy does is it slows the emptying of your stomach. So when you overeat, it's not just like, okay, we'll give it an hour and, your digestion will move along and you'll feel better. No. When you overeat, you're going to have that uncomfortably full feeling for hours. I want to say probably 3 to 5 hours before I didn't feel like I was absolutely going to explode. I was so uncomfortable. That's probably the only time that I've overeaten in that amount since I've been on Wegovy. I will say probably the biggest thing that Wegovy helps me with is I'm an absent-minded eater. Like, when I'm bored or if I'm just not doing much of anything, my desk is literally like grabbing distance from the refrigerator. So I would just be like, oh, well, I'm bored. I'm thinking about food. I'll just grab something and shove it in my face. I don't think about doing that anymore. And that's probably been one of the biggest helpers with Wegovy, is just not having that constant desire to shove something in my face. And I'm not feeling deprived because of that. I'm not feeling like I feel indifferent about it. Like I just don't have the desire to constantly be eating anymore. So that's, I mean, now that I know what that feels like, because that's been a constant, you know, as far as I can remember, now that I know what that feels like, my hope is that once I go off of the Wegovy, then that I'll know that that's not something that's necessary for me anymore. So that kind of leads you to the next question, which is, you know, are you going to have to stay on this the rest of your life? Now, I want to qualify this by saying I do not have diabetes. I do not have PCOS that I've ever been diagnosed with. I don't have any underlying health conditions that I know of that are contributing to my weight gain. So the thing that caused me to gain weight was constant overeating and constant eating when I wasn't hungry, and just eating a lot of very high calorie foods all the time. That's what caused me to gain my weight. So if you are in that type of a situation, there is no reason for you to stay on Wegovy for the rest of your life. It is intended as a tool to help you lose weight and establish the healthy habits necessary in order for you to maintain that weight loss. I have close to 200 pounds to lose, or had, from when I started this drug. So in theory, by the time I've been able to lose all of that weight, it will take me well over a year. I should have, if I've been, you know, consciously a part of this journey, which I have been, I've been very purposeful about my weight loss, then I should be able to establish new habits that I will be able to maintain once I go off of the Wegovy. Now, is this something I'm going to have to manage the rest of my life? Absolutely. Because I spent over 40 years developing habits that led me to this point in my life. So I'm going to have to remain conscious of it. I don't intend to count calories for the rest of my life. My eventual intention is to move to intuitive eating, because I want to be able to listen to my body to tell me when I'm hungry, when I'm full, when I need food, when I don't need food. And that's just kind of what the Wegovy has helped me to do, is become more aware of those signals, and to know what it feels like when I'm actually hungry, and to know what it feels like when I'm actually full, and to be able to kind of know what it feels like to not be constantly ingesting food. Oh, I see this one all the time. What dose did you lose the most on? Everybody wants to try and figure out how to manipulate the numbers. So just for, you know, I don't know, the sake of answering the question, on 0.25, I lost 16.5 pounds in 4 weeks. Almost, I think over half of that was in the first week. So the majority of the weight that I lost on the 0.25 was water weight. In terms of sheer numbers, I lost the most on that 0.25, but I would not say that that was the most fat loss. On 0.5, I lost 14.2 pounds in 4 weeks. And I would say that that's probably the most fat loss I experienced. I saw the most inch loss during that period of 4 weeks as well. But I also, during that time, experienced, like, I got sick. It was just for, you know, a 24-hour thing. I think it was food poisoning. But I did experience some sickness that caused me to lose a pretty drastic amount of weight over a 24-hour period of time. On the 1.0, I lost 10.7 pounds over 4 weeks. And then on the 1.7, I lost 12.8 pounds, but that was over 8 weeks. So I definitely lost the least amount per week on the 1.7 milligram, but also keep in mind that I had a 2-week period of time during that 1.7 where I was like, it straddled those 2 weeks, my trip to California. So that just kind of stalled my weight loss a bit. Now I've just started the 2.4, so I can't tell you exactly how much I'm, you know, going to lose, because I don't know. I haven't even done my first weigh-in yet, but I will keep you guys updated. So in regard to answering sheer number wise, I lost the most on the 0.25, but I would say fat loss wise, I probably lost the most on the 0.5. But I will say this, Wegovy is not a miracle drug in that it is not going to make you just drop weight for no reason. It allows your body to work with you instead of against you when staying on a diet, or to stay on a healthy eating journey, however you want to say it. If the word diet triggers you, then, you know, however you want to say it. It just makes it easier to stay on that weight loss journey. I think that this is the longest consecutive period of time in my adult life that I've been able to stay on a healthy eating plan and not feel like I just want to quit. So that is what Wegovy does for you. It helps you stay on track. It makes it easier to stay on track. It makes it easier to eat fewer calories. That's really what Wegovy is designed to do, not necessarily to just automatically make your body shed pounds. If you're expecting to just take Wegovy and not have to do anything to try to lose weight, that's not what this drug is for. Like, you still need to do the work. One of the other questions, people being terrified to start because of all the side effects, or seeing people's horrible experiences with the side effects. So here's the deal with those support groups. I think they're both helpful and hurtful in many ways. If you are having a fantastic experience on Wegovy, you're likely not going into a support group to just announce to the group, look at the awesome things that I have done. I have lost so much weight and I feel so amazing. Like, every once in a while you will see one of those posts, but for the most part, the people that are going on there, the people that need support, are the people that are struggling. So the majority of the posts that you're going to see are from people who are experiencing extreme nausea. They're having vomiting. They're having all of the really bad, mostly gastrointestinal side effects. Here's what I would tell you. Keep in mind that 60% of people that participated in the trial experienced no gastrointestinal side effects. So the odds are in your favor, if we want to go Hunger Games style, that you will not experience side effects in terms of the gastrointestinal side effects. I don't classify constipation in the gastrointestinal side effects because I think that that's just kind of something that happens, and a lot of it is due to dehydration. And honestly, constipation is pretty manageable once you figure out what your body needs in order to keep it managed. So I would say no one can tell you what your body is going to do on this drug. Try it. If you have tried everything else and nothing has worked for you, and the only thing holding you back is fear of the side effects, just try it. You're not going to know what your body is going to do until you try it. And no one's going to be able to tell you what your body is going to do until you try it. If you end up being one of those few people that just has them so bad, it's like less than 10%. I want to say that it's like 4%, only 4%, 4 to 7% of people that experienced those side effects felt that they were severe enough that they needed to quit. So definitely try it. Like, you just need to try it out and see how your body does. Probably more often than anything else is, what if my insurance doesn't cover it? Or how are you all affording this medication? If you've been watching my channel, you know that my insurance, while my insurance will cover Wegovy with a prior authorization, my prescription plan is linked to my high deductible health plan. So my prescription coverage doesn't kick in until I've met a $4,500 deductible. So I basically don't have prescription coverage. Even though I'm morbidly obese, I am a relatively healthy person. So we really don't, I mean, we go to the doctor maybe once or twice a year for, colds or coughs or, whatever random thing. So we never meet our deductible, ever. So if you are one of those people that doesn't have a high deductible health plan and your plan requires a prior authorization, I know a lot of people have had good success with some of the online places like Calibrate. There's several others, but I can't think of what their names are right now. If you go to a Wegovy support group and you ask for the names of places that help with prior authorizations, they will tell you. I do not recommend trying to get your primary care physician. I mean, unless you have one that says that they're good at it, I don't necessarily recommend trying to get your primary care physician to get a prior authorization approved, because my experience with my doctor is that she submitted incorrect information, or, insufficient information, never asked me any additional questions about where I was at with my Wegovy, and it just got denied because they didn't have correct information. The online places, the diet clinics, the weight loss clinics, the weight loss specialists and doctors, they are so used to getting those prior authorizations put through. They know exactly what the insurance companies need here in order to approve those drugs. So I highly recommend going that route. If you are lucky enough to have an insurance company that just outright approved you, but it's still very expensive, there are discount cards on Novo Nordisk's website. There are 2 different discount cards. There's one that will take off up to $200, and there's one that will take off up to $500. So if you can only find the one that's $200 online, make sure you call Novo Nordisk, ask them about the $500 discount card, because with your commercial insurance, it's still too expensive with the $200 discount, and that may bring it more within your range. Now, if you've heard about the $25 bridge card, that's the card that I was able to get when I started at the end of last year. They've completely discontinued that program. As far as I understand, there are no plans to ever bring it back again because they don't need to. They've got Helios. Oh my goodness, buddy. Okay, yeah. No. They don't need to bring it back. They've got thousands, probably tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people at this point that are on the drug, that are willing to pay the price they need to pay in order to get it, because it just works that well. So personally, because my insurance would cover it, but I have that deductible that has to be paid, I can't afford the drug. Even with the $500 discount, it's still, depending on where you go, anywhere from $800 to $1,100. I can't afford $800 to $1,100 every 4 weeks. So the route that I'm working on going, and it's still an ongoing battle, is one of the support groups, someone mentioned a compounding pharmacy. So compounding pharmacies, if you don't know what they are pharmacies that actually have the licensing to make the drugs themselves. It's like what used to happen way back in the day. Pharmacies used to make their own drugs. I was able to find a sterile compounding facility in my area, in the Austin area, that has developed both an injectable and a sublingual rapid dissolve, which means a rapidly dissolving pill that you put under your tongue, for semaglutide, which is what Wegovy and Ozempic are. So they've asked me not to share the price. The pharmacy that I'm working with is Stonegate Pharmacy in South Austin, and they will deliver. They're only able to issue prescriptions in the state of Texas. So if you're outside of Texas, just Google compounding pharmacy near me and just start making phone calls. That's what I did. I ended up calling probably 7 different pharmacies before I found this one. So they've asked me not to share the price because it could change depending on the availability and the cost of the semaglutide that they have to get in order to make the drug. But it is legitimately a tenth of the price of what I would pay even with the discount card. So the next hurdle that I'm up against is I have had a really hard time finding a doctor that will prescribe to a compounding pharmacy. So because compounding pharmacies are not the norm anymore, and that's not the way that doctors are used to doing business, a lot of doctors aren't comfortable prescribing to a compound pharmacy. And I've had 2 different doctors now tell me that they will not prescribe to a compounding pharmacy. So I reached out to Stonegate, and they've given me the names of 2 different doctors' offices that they work with that prescribe this drug on a regular basis. And I have an appointment to go and see one of those doctors. I'm going to have to make a 2-hour drive to get there, which I'm super excited about. But I'm going to be driving down to San Antonio to have an appointment so that I can hopefully get this drug prescribed finally through the compounding pharmacy. Once I'm able to do that, then I will be able to stay on semaglutide for as long as it remains affordable. You can still use your HSA or your FSA to pay at a compounding pharmacy, which is what we will be doing. And it is more expensive than the $25 a month that I've been paying through my bridge card, but it is exponentially cheaper than trying to pay with, just pay cash for the Wegovy directly. So it's the same drug. They've had really good success with it I think they said that they developed it a little over a year ago, and they've had great success with people taking it and losing weight on it. So I am excited about that. I'm glad that I'm not going to have to quit taking Wegovy. It will take some legwork on your part if you don't have the insurance that will cover it. But if you are able to find a compounding pharmacy that will make it for you, it's definitely another option to try. What diet should I follow? I see that one all the time, and this is a controversial one for a lot of people. And it's the question that I hate to see answered in those support groups, because you will see people that will tell you, you have to eat low carb to lose weight on Wegovy. You can't eat greasy food. You can't eat fried food. You can't eat sugar. You can't. Here's the thing. And I will preface this by saying I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just somebody who's been fat my entire life and probably knows more about nutrition than most doctors. But if your medical professional has told you to follow a certain diet because of your own health restrictions, obviously you need to follow that diet. If you are just someone like me who has dealt with overweight their whole life because of unhealthy eating habits, I will tell you that what Wegovy has taught me, and what this most recent weight loss journey has taught me, is that the only diet that works is the one that you will stay on. That's it. Could I lose weight faster on a low carb diet? Probably. Will I eat low carb for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. As far as I'm concerned, a life without pasta, bread, and ice cream is not worth living. So, and yes, I know that you can make keto alternatives to all of those things. They're gross. I've done keto. Like, you can convince yourself in the moment. I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's not good. And anyone who's been on a low carb diet will tell you that the second that you stop eating low carb, you will gain the weight back. And it's because a big part of how keto and low carb diets help you lose weight is they dehydrate your body. That's where the keto flu comes from. It's severe dehydration. Low carb diets literally wring any hydration from your body, and they leach the minerals that stay in that hydration from your body as well. So if you don't watch my weekly videos, my weekly cooking videos, at the end of my results videos every week, I give you a glimpse of my meal plans that show you what I'm eating on a weekly basis. And then on Wednesdays, I do a cooking and recipe video where I show you some new recipes that I'm eating for that week. You're welcome to check those out. I am doing calorie cycling, which is a little bit different from just straight up calorie counting. With calorie counting, you have a daily calorie limit and you eat inside those calories every day. With calorie cycling, instead of tracking my calories on a daily basis, I track my calories on a weekly basis. Some days I eat more, some days I eat less. And there have been a lot of studies that have shown that calorie cycling, especially with women who have an older metabolism like mine, it can really help to, restart your metabolism. It helps with hormone regulation. It helps with all sorts of things. So if you're interested in that, there are people a lot smarter than me that can tell you how it works. Just Google or YouTube calorie cycling, and you can find out some more information. But that is what I do. I eat whatever I want. I just eat it in moderation. I eat fried food. I eat ice cream. I eat bread. I eat pasta. I eat all the carbs. In fact, I will tell you that one of the weeks where I lost the most weight that I've lost in a single week, where I was perfectly healthy and I didn't have any other issues going on, was the week that I decided to eat an Asian diet for a week. And I had rice at almost every single meal. So not only did I lose weight, but I lost more weight than I did on other weeks where I ate lower carb. So if that isn't, I suppose it's anecdotal evidence, but if that isn't evidence or proof that you can lose weight while eating carbs on this diet, I don't know what is. So again, I'm not diabetic. When I had my numbers done right before I started the Wegovy, she said I was borderline pre-diabetic. So I was literally like just on this side of pre-diabetic. It could have been because of any number of factors that were influencing that. Like I may not have even been pre-diabetic. So I don't have any other health concerns that are influencing what type of diet I should follow. My cholesterol's fine. My blood pressure is fine. I don't have any heart issues. So I just follow a moderation diet. I eat what I want, but I do it within reason, and I track what I eat to make sure that I'm staying within a certain amount of calories every week. I will say that for me, tracking isn't so much about not eating too much. It's about making sure that I eat enough. Every week, at the end of the week, I have an excess of calories that I'm trying to hurry up and eat. So that's been a bigger struggle for me, is finding out how to make sure that I'm eating enough. And eating too little is just as detrimental to weight loss as eating too much. So make sure that you're eating enough. I see all the time people commenting, I'm exercising every day and I'm only eating 1,200 calories. Honey, if you're obese and you're exercising every day and only eating 1,200 calories, you're not eating enough. Right now, for a sedentary person at over 300 pounds, I'm supposed to be eating over 1,600 calories a day. If you're on this drug, you should be classified as obese. If you're eating less than 1,500 calories a day to lose weight as an obese person, you're probably under eating, especially if you're exercising. So that brings us to the next question, which is, what kind of exercise should I be doing? Or what kind of exercise are you doing to lose all of your weight? I don't exercise. I have arthritis in my hips, my tailbone, and my knees. So exercise is very difficult for me. As I lose more weight, I do hope to be able to do more exercise, but I've done a lot of research over the years on exercise. If you've never read The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, it's a very enlightening read. His book was the first time that I ever heard that cardiovascular and cardio exercise is detrimental to weight loss. And since then, I've seen a lot more people starting to talk more about that. Cardiovascular exercise is great for your cardiovascular health. So for your heart, your lungs, it's wonderful for those things. I'm not saying that cardio exercise is not healthy for you. I am saying that it's not necessary for weight loss. In fact, oftentimes it's counterproductive to weight loss. And the reason I say that is because especially if you're eating a low carb diet, your body burns all of this fuel. And if you're not eating carbohydrates, then it has to burn fat, which is much more difficult for your body to do. And as it burns that, it's signaling to your body that it needs more fuel to replace the calories that it's burning. Now, if you've ever watched a treadmill tell you how many calories you're burning, if you walk for an hour on a treadmill or 30 minutes on a treadmill, you may only burn 250, 300 calories. That's not very many, but your body is going to be hungry after you get off that treadmill. And in all likelihood, you're going to consume more than the 200 to 300 calories that you just burned on that treadmill. And that's what I mean when I say that cardio can be counterproductive to weight loss. Fit and Nerdy is a channel that I watch often here on YouTube, and I'll link it down in the description. But I was watching her channel the other day, and she said something really interesting, is that muscle is extremely energy intensive to keep alive. So if you're not eating enough and you have a fair amount of muscle on your body, it's easier for your body to break down that muscle for fuel, and your body will prioritize breaking down that muscle for fuel because it doesn't want to have to keep feeding it to keep it maintained. So not only if you're not eating enough, not only are you not going to lose fat, but you will also lose muscle. So it's really, really important to make sure that you're eating enough calories, especially if you are exercising. And the kind of exercise I would recommend for weight loss is, and it seems counterintuitive, but is strength training. Lean muscle mass will continue to burn calories. It burns more calories when you're at rest. So it will help to speed up your metabolism. If you're in a stall, definitely look up reverse dieting and the effects that can have on your metabolism. I know for most of us that have been overweight for a long time, we've really done a number on our metabolisms and slowed ourselves down, but reverse dieting can kind of help to repair your metabolism. And believe it or not, the way that you do that is by eating more. That can be difficult on a drug like Wegovy, but there are a lot of foods that are very low volume and high calorie, peanut butter, fats in general. But I would just say, if you're just starting out on this drug, try not to change too much at once. Work on getting your eating habits under control first. If you're not somebody that's already exercising all the time and you're eating a horrible diet and you're starting this drug, start off by trying to get the eating under control first. Get the eating under control and then start to work on the exercise. If you try doing too much all at once, it's going to get overwhelming. Now, the Wegovy makes it easier to do the diet changes for sure, but it can still get exhausting both for your body and for your mind to try to take on too much at once. We'll do one more. I see a lot of people asking what are your go-to foods, or what are the things that I should eat to lose weight? I don't really think there's such a thing. But, and I also see people asking about snacks and stuff like that. I will say I'm not much of a snacker, because snacking can definitely head me into a bad place, just in general. I will say that in terms of how our bodies were made, we're not necessarily meant to snack. As hunter-gatherers, it's more likely that we developed eating a large meal whenever we were able to find or kill something, and we would eat until we couldn't eat anymore, and then we wouldn't eat again until we found more food. And so for me, it's far healthier for me to just eat my 3 meals a day, and then sometimes if I have an especially long period of time between my lunch and my dinner because my husband's getting home late or something like that, I'll sometimes have I really like, and I'll put a picture up here, these Twisted, the mango and strawberry popsicles. They're only 70 calories per popsicle, and it just kind of satisfies that little bit of a sweet tooth, but it's got real fruit in it, and they're really, really tasty. I like them a lot. That's kind of been a go-to for me lately. For breakfast, I usually do either some type of a breakfast taco or some eggs and sausage. You guys, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you will know that I absolutely love the Applegate chicken maple breakfast sausage. It's very low in calorie because it's chicken, but it's not dry like most chicken sausage. Most chicken sausage is just like sawdust in your mouth. This, I honestly cannot tell the difference in the texture between this chicken sausage and pork sausage. They probably use a dark meat chicken, which is probably why it's so much better than most chicken sausages. But if you can get your hands on that, it is a little bit more expensive, but the ingredients are a lot better, and it just flavor-wise, oh, so good. If you are the kind of person that needs a snack, or if you're struggling with nausea and you just like, or you're someone that has really gone on the extreme end of the appetite suppression and you just can't even fathom eating food, a really good high calorie, low volume snack is some apple slices and peanut butter. I never used to be a huge fan of peanut butter, but I have recently just, like, I love peanut butter. If for some reason you're worried about calorie intake, which if you're struggling to eat, you probably shouldn't be, but PB Fit, which is a different brand of PB2, it's a peanut flour. Well, it's not technically a peanut flour, it's powdered peanut butter. So it's basically peanuts that are pressed to remove, I think it's like 85% of the fat, so all the peanut oil. So it's pretty much a byproduct of peanut oil. And so it's all that fat taken out, and you can reconstitute the powder with water. You just need to find the right ratio. And to me, the PB Fit is the better tasting option. I like PB Fit on toast with jelly. I like it for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But if I'm just doing like apple slices and peanut butter and I just need that kind of calorie bomb, I use real peanut butter all the way. But the PB Fit is perfectly fine with apple slices as well. It's going to be a lot lower calories. So normally when I'm eating something like that, it's because I really need the extra calories. All right, I feel like I've been rambling forever. I hope this video was actually helpful. If you found it helpful, please give me a like. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see more videos like this. If you have more questions that I didn't answer, or if you wanted me to clarify anything that I've said in this video, please let me know. And if you're not subscribed and you enjoyed this, please feel free to check out my other videos. This is very different than what I normally do, but we would love to have you join the family. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for your support, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Together, take my hand and we will conquer.